Hi, it's John and welcome to the channel. It is Thursday, July the 3rd, 7:45 a.m. I've got my big blue mug of coffee. Hope you're having an awesome day today. I certainly am. And I put up a video earlier this morning. I spoke with lawyer Jeff Rath about the independence movement here in Alberta, and my God, what a great interview. Thanks to Jeff for doing it with me yesterday. He hammers fascist Mark Carney. He hammers Jason Kenney, Thomas Lukasik. I think he brought up Klaus Schwab, talks about Danielle Smith. It's a great interview. Again, thanks to Jeff for doing it. I'll put a card up at the end of this video so you can check it out in its entirety. Today, I want to once again thank one of Canada's greatest benefactors, President Donald Trump of the United States of America. Mr. President, thank you so much. And people will say, are you nuts, John? No, because I do believe that 100%. Some of you may have seen this video. Not a lot of people watched it. If you look back 5 months ago, I did this right here. 3.3 thousand views. Trump, Canada's greatest economic ally. And why did I say that back then? Because at the time, Donald Trump had floated out the 51st state thing as a joke. And all of a sudden, politicians and people across the country thought, maybe we should get off our asses and do something for our country, like get stuff out of the ground and become prosperous. They formed this Team Canada nonsense, which has gone to shit in the last couple of months. They started talking about dropping trade barriers between provinces, and that was all due to Donald Trump. And that's why I did that video. You might want to go back and check it out. I think it was kind of imposing when people saw it, so they didn't click on it. But just the other day, something else happened. Donald Trump, once again, doing great things for Canada. This happened right here. Canada caved to Trump's digital services tax demands, White House says. And yes, Carney, like a house of cards, caved in on this. The digital services tax would have been passed along to you. So once again, Donald Trump saving you some money. But there's another one that just happened today. And I've seen some other channels covering this. Moose on the Loose, Mark Nixon, they talked about this. But I think it's Donald Trump once again helping out Canada to get rid of really bad policy and really throw a monkey wrench, a spanner into the works of Mark Carney and his net zero nonsense. This one right here. Now, Europe's carbon border tax advances the fight against climate change. Now, this article is from a little over a year ago. Here's a quick explanation of what it's about. The European Union's Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, CBAM, officially launched in October 23, now requires importers to report on the direct and indirect greenhouse gas emissions embedded in the goods they import. Beginning in January 2026, the EU will start imposing tariffs on imports from countries that do not price carbon at the bloc's market rate, which could significantly affect carbon-intensive producers among its trading partners. So, in essence, if a country is shipping something into this country, Canada, it doesn't live up to Mark Carney's standards when it comes to carbon dioxide, tariff or tax on those goods, which end up getting passed down to you. And we know the United States does not do this. Mark Carney loves it. Here he is talking back in January.
Third thing we're going to do is to ensure that there's fair competition for our companies and that we penalize high polluting foreign imports. So we're going to develop a carbon border adjustment mechanism. What that does is promote jobs here at home. It prevents carbon leakage abroad, and it aligns Canada with our allies who are still engaged in the fight against climate change.
That's the European Union. That's why he's been over in the European Union so much, talking to his friends. He feels comfortable with them, and he hasn't been talking to Donald Trump. He's supposed to solve the problem with Donald Trump, the tariffs, but he's over talking to the European Union. So this article right here takes us back a little over a month. European Union countries backed plans on Tuesday to scale back the bloc's carbon border levy to cover just 10% of the companies currently covered by the scheme, on the grounds that these firms account for nearly all of the emissions involved. Their approval makes it highly likely that the EU will exempt most of the 200,000 importers that had been due to face the world's first carbon border tariff starting next year. And again, I've seen people talk about this today, but I was thinking, has Donald Trump got anything to do with this? Because this is an article out of The Guardian. There's not a lot of articles about this right now. This is a really convoluted story from The Guardian, which is a far left English or British website that goes on about carbon tariffs and carbon border adjustments and carbon credits. And it's just a Ponzi scheme of nonsense what Mark Carney and the EU and England are doing with this CBAM thing. But then you see this article, which takes us back to April of this year. U.S. faults EU carbon fee during tariff fight. I'll read a little bit of this for you. President Donald Trump's administration is citing the EU's upcoming tariff on carbon-intensive imports as one of the unfair trade practices that justified a tariff response. It describes the different tariffs Trump is interested in here. Then it says Trump is yet to even identify which trade policies he wants other countries to change before he would withdraw tariffs his administration expects will raise $600 billion per year in new revenue. But the U.S. Trade Representative's office, in a social media post on Monday made in honor of Trump's tariffs, identified the EU's carbon border adjustment mechanism, which will collect a carbon-based levy on imports such as steel, cement, and fertilizer, as one of the examples of what it sees as an unfair trading practice. The Trump administration estimates $4.7 billion per year of U.S. exports would be affected by the CBAM, which is set to take effect in 2026. Final little bit here. These EU regulations undermine fair competition, penalizing U.S. companies while providing advantages to EU-based competitors. The U.S. Trade Representative's office wrote in a series of posts on Tuesday that also criticized India and Thailand for imposing import restrictions on ethanol product in the U.S. So I'm wondering if Donald Trump has had an effect on this CBAM. The EU has it. They're backing off on it. England will back off on it. Carney wants it. He will likely have to back off on this because if his friends in Europe aren't doing it, he won't do it, and then we won't have a carbon border adjustment, and Donald Trump won't have to pay tariffs on goods that are shipped from the United States into Canada. Once again, this will save Canadians money and probably save jobs as well and get us off this crazy net zero train that Mark Carney has got us on right now. So thanks again. I believe Donald Trump, again, is one of Canada's greatest benefactors. Thank you, President Trump. And to Mark Carney, thanks very much. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, and I'll see you in the next one.